My wife said, "I'm leaving you for someone better." Then she saw who I was dating. The words landed not with a shout, but with a chilling conversational clarity, as if she were commenting on the weather. It was a Tuesday morning. Sunlight streamed through the bay window of the kitchen I had spent 6 months renovating, stripping, sanding, and finishing every cabinet with my own hands. The smell of freshly brewed coffee, which usually signified comfort, now felt like the aroma of a last meal. Clara stood opposite me, leaning against the granite countertop she had picked out and I had installed, her hands wrapped around a porcelain latte mug. Her suitcase, a sleek, hard-shelled Rimowa, stood by the front door like a smug sentinel. She didn't look angry or sad. She looked resolved. And worse, amused. "It's over, Mark. I've met someone. Better. More successful. He can give me the life I actually deserve." She let the word hang in the air between us, a poisonous little bomb. Better. She was watching me closely, her eyes sharp and glittering, waiting for the explosion. She expected tears, begging, perhaps angry accusations, the messy, emotional fallout that would validate her decision and make her the triumphant heroine of her own story. I didn't give it to her. Instead, I took a slow, deliberate sip of my black coffee, the bitter taste grounding me. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw a stranger. The woman I'd loved for 10 years had been replaced by this cold, calculating imposter. "I understand," I said, my voice calm and even, a flat lake after a storm has passed. My quiet acceptance was a weapon she hadn't anticipated. It infuriated her more than any outburst could have. Her smirk faltered for a fraction of a second, a crack in her perfect armor. She wanted a scene. She wanted to be able to tell her friends, her new man, he completely lost it. It was so pathetic. My tranquility denied her that narrative. She composed herself quickly, picking up her mug. "The paperwork will be sent to your office. My lawyer will be in touch." And with that, she walked out, the click of her heels on the hardwood floor echoing like a series of period marks at the end of our marriage. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal, as she had intended. She went for the jugular. The house, a significant portion of my future earnings, everything. Our mutual friends, curated carefully to her taste over the years, quietly picked sides, and most drifted to her, the shiny new couple. I heard the whispers, of course. Friends who still spoke to me would mention, with awkward sympathy, that I seemed to be moving on rather quickly. Clara heard these whispers too and dismissed them with a laugh. She was convinced I had downgraded, probably to some lonely, desperate divorcee from a dating app, a thought that seemed to amuse her greatly. It fed her narrative that she had ascended while I had settled. 2 months later, the divorce was nearly finalized. A raw, painful process that had stripped me emotionally bare. But in the quiet solitude, I had begun to rebuild. A client dinner brought me to Le Ciel, the most impossibly exclusive restaurant in the city, a place perched atop a skyscraper with glass walls offering panoramic views of the glittering skyline. It was a place where reservations were secured months in advance, a place Clara's new hedge fund boyfriend David had apparently bragged about taking her to, a symbol of the better life he offered. Fate, irony, or perhaps just excellent timing placed us there on the same night. I saw them first. They were being seated at a prime table near the window, Clara hanging on to David's arm, preening. She was wearing a new, dangerously expensive dress, her hair styled differently. She looked every bit the part she was trying to play, the trophy wife of a wealthy man. She was scanning the room, not to appreciate the view, but to be seen, to confirm her new status. Her gaze swept past our table, then snapped back. Her eyes, which had been sparkling with triumph, widened. The smirk she'd worn since entering the restaurant vanished, wiped away as if by an unseen hand.
Her face underwent a rapid, silent transformation, first confusion, then stunned disbelief, and finally a dawning, sickening horror. I wasn't sitting with a downgrade. Seated across from me, laughing softly at something I had just said, was Isabella Rossi. Isabella wasn't just beautiful. She possessed a timeless, elegant grace that made every other woman in the room seem trying too hard. She was also, crucially, Clara's old college roommate, the one Clara had always been bitterly, secretly jealous of. Isabella came from old money. Her family's name was on museums and libraries across the city, and she had herself built a formidable reputation in tech investments. Tragedy had struck a year ago when her husband, a beloved tech CEO, passed away suddenly, leaving Isabella not only a grieving widow, but also the sole heir to a billion-dollar empire and his vast business holdings. She was kind, intelligent, humble, and the ultimate upgrade Clara had only ever fantasized about in her most avaricious dreams. Clara's mouth actually fell open. She looked from me to Isabella and back again, her brain refusing to compute the data her eyes were sending it. This wasn't in the script. Her new, better man was suddenly placed in a stark, unflattering contrast he couldn't possibly survive. David, sensing her shock, followed her gaze. His own expression shifted from smug confidence to pale recognition and then to sheer, professional panic. He knew exactly who Isabella Rossi was. Before either of them could flee, Isabella spotted them. A warm, genuine smile spread across her face. She gracefully excused herself from our table and glided over, not toward Clara, but toward her date. "David," she said, her voice a melodic, confident sound. "What a lovely surprise. I didn't know you two were acquainted." David stammered, a bead of sweat visible on his temple. "Miss Rossi, a pleasure to see you." Isabella then turned her dazzling, disarming smile to my ex-wife, who looked like a rabbit caught in the headlights of an oncoming Rolls-Royce. "And you must be Clara," Isabella said, her tone perfectly pleasant, devoid of any malice, which made it infinitely more devastating. "It's so lovely to finally meet the woman who made him available." The subtext was a nuclear bomb. "Thank you for your stupidity. I have inherited the wonderful man you threw away." The look on Clara's face was a mosaic of shattered ego, venomous jealousy, and utter humiliation. It was a look I would cherish forever. But the real twist, the twist that would truly unravel her new life, was just beginning. David, desperate to salvage something from this professional car crash, cleared his throat. "Miss Rossi, I didn't realize you were seeing anyone. This is wonderful. I was actually hoping to present our new merger proposal to you and your board next week. We're very excited about it." He was practically bowing, his entire business future hinging on her approval. Isabella's smile never wavered, but it turned ever so slightly frosty at the edges. She placed a gentle, possessive hand on my arm. "I'm afraid my personal and business lives are aligning perfectly lately, David." She glanced at me with a look of genuine affection before turning her cool gaze back to him. "And based on some of the insights Mark has shared about your operational and personal ethics, I don't believe a merger with your firm is in my company's best interest. We'll be pursuing other opportunities." The blood drained from David's face. His chance at the big leagues, the deal he'd been working on for a year, had just evaporated because he was dating the wrong man's ex-wife. Isabella then delivered the final, graceful blow to Clara. "Good luck with your upgrade, dear," she said, her voice sweet as poisoned honey. She gave a slight dismissive nod and guided me gently away, back to our table, and leaving them standing there in the ruins of their evening. As we walked away, I allowed myself one last glance over my shoulder. Clara was staring, white-faced and trembling, not at me, but at David, who was already frantically pulling out his phone, his face a mask of fury as he likely texted his partners that the Rossi deal was dead. The life of luxury she thought she was stealing was a cheap, gaudy trinket compared to the empire she had just watched me walk into, arm in arm with a queen. Her better man was already calculating her cost. and she had just become a catastrophic liability. The upgrade was complete, and she wasn't in it.